welcome everybody who's already joined. Um, so we are. I would say this is more of an extension to the last conversation
Right.
that we had with Greg, who is the owner of Elite Fitness. We had touched on a lot of topics during the Men's Health Month, and wanted to engage again because there was still a lot of information that needs to be said and understood in regards to healthy habits and starting good habits.
Correct.
Um, and what I like is that it's interesting is because as you know, Greg, a lot of people have all these misconceptions about what that is and what that means. So um, excited to go ahead and dive into that. Again, want to just welcome everybody who is already joined. If you have any family members or friends uh, who would benefit, go ahead and send them the link if you haven't done so already. Um, so I just want to go ahead. Let's go ahead and get started, Greg. I do have. Let me see here. Okay. Oh wow. So I do have a poll started, and
Right.
hopefully we can get some more feedback. I had posed 3 questions. Do you have healthy habits? Um, uh, does your medical provider help you with your health goals?
Mhm.
And do you suffer from health conditions due to bad health habits? So I'm looking to see as we get more people join in, how that poll currently right now, it looks like people believe that they do have good habits.
Mhm.
Um, and it's kind of neck and neck, or 50% in regards to those who feel like their provider helps them with their health goals, and none
Sure.
suffer from health conditions. But what I want to, let's go ahead and get started in regards to some questions around healthy habits. Um,
Absolutely.
I have a lot of information myself as a health enthusiast, and in regards to what habits mean. I think it first circles around you paying attention to your own body, being
Absolutely.
mindful, being mindful of different things that you eat, your routine. I'm big on having a system in place to
Absolutely.
carry you through. So I wanted to get your take on what exactly are health habits. What does that mean to you?
Health habits to me, involve a healthy sleep pattern, reduction in stress. Um, again, of course, eating. Um, you've got a lot of catalysts, that will lead to, one particular thing, and again, and that's creating, creating the balance, so to speak. And that was something that we spoke about, just having a healthy balance in our last webinar, with regards to health, health as a whole. And, with regards to, the community, and probably I'd say it's funny. I actually had a young man at the gym this afternoon ask me, he said, well, hey, he said, what do you feel like are some contributing factors, as far, because he saw that I was about to jump on with you and talk about this. I said, for one, as a African American man, I said stress reduction. So that's probably the number one factor. Cortisol reduction.
Yeah, I was
And
about to say it. Yeah, right.
cortisol and stress. We've all heard it our whole lives that stress is a silent killer.
Hmm.
Well, it is. It leads to it's been known, it's been widely researched that it leads to cancer, if not addressed, diabetes, again, everything stemming from a healthy mindset, could also lead to unhealthy habits. um, a lot of um, a lot of men, that I find, a lot of African American men, once they have completed high school or high school athletics, they tend to get into, they get into the workforce, raising, children, family, just life as a whole, paying bills. And, we tend to forget about, our health as a whole. So,
Right.
what were considered, getting 8 hours of sleep, drinking 64 ounces of water, because we were regimented to do so, goes by the wayside.
Right, right. The system in place, if you had parents who made you go to bed, made you get up, make sure you had certain meals ready to go throughout the day,
Sure.
that transition from adulthood, you have to make those lifestyle choices yourself. And sometimes, and then what I would say is a big issue in regards to how we look at that. The misconception is, well, if I don't look like I'm out of shape, or if I don't look like I'm unhealthy, then I'm healthy.
Right.
And
Man.
we have to go ahead and clear that up, because like you said, when you had renal failure,
Right.
you just bench 500 pounds.
Oh yeah.
Nobody's thinking that the guy who just benched 500 pounds is going to take a few steps and then just drop and pass out.
Absolutely.
They're probably looking at you and like, how's this big guy with all this muscle just down and out? And that's one of the big, I think, misconceptions is, and I have to, I say that for myself too. That's why, in regards to good health habits, we have to get the screenings. I think this is Prostate Cancer Month. I think at least anybody, especially African American, if you're 45 and up, you need to get your screening.
Sure.
You need to get checked.
And we need, as a community, we need to stop being afraid, of the perception of a prostate exam. Sure. Is it uncomfortable? Yes. Is it pleasant? No. But I just lost a schoolmate a week ago. He was 2 years older than me. Prostate cancer. From what my understanding was, once he was found, once he discovered, the prostate cancer, 4 months later, deceased.
Wow. And how old was he when he finally got checked?
52.
It's 7 years behind what was recommended. Wow.
Correct. And
so,
now it's now it's just as easy as having blood drawn.
Right.
It's just that simple. So the old perceptions that we've had about prostate exams are now gone. You have options.
Right. So I want to get into first off, from my perspective in regards to bad health habits. I feel like, correct me if you agree or if you have a different opinion, that a lot of what we say bad health habits really start with our perception of our lifestyle overall, like mentally.
Correct.
A lot of times I think we make excuses in regards to why we can't do something, as opposed to finding a solution as an alternative. So I think for anybody who's listening is one, look at the positive side of I can't do these things. Maybe I can't go to a gym, but I can get out of my bed and do some air squats. I can walk.
Right.
Where people, I heard people say, well, how do I get started? I can't even do a push-up, or I can barely do one push-up. I would say a lot of what needs to take place has to start small.
Absolutely.
Do what you can do. If you can only do one push-up to get going, do that one push-up every day.
Absolutely.
And I promise you, if you keep doing one push-up every day, you're going to get to the point where you can do 10 push-ups and more.
Absolutely.
And the same thing when it comes to dieting. A lot of people say, well, I can't diet. And I really don't like the word diet, me, Greg, personally. I don't like the word diet, because it gets this, you get this perception in your head that, everything's going to change. You gotta break down mentally on what you can and can't do. And then you get tired of it, and it doesn't last.
Right.
What you eat has to be a lifestyle, so even with that, if you like eating certain foods and you want to make a change, you don't necessarily have to go cold turkey. Most people don't have the mental capacity or strength to just say, I'm just going to go cold turkey and never look back. You have to make progressive steps to a better habit. And that
Absolutely.
starts with making a system. And so I think we have a question here. Someone asked, should men with higher risk, example, prostate cancer in their family, get screened earlier than 45?
Yes. Personally, I began screening at 35 because prostate issues run in my family. So I started that process really, really early, and that's you're never too early for that.
Right. And I'm actually, because I'm approaching that same age, because that was one of the things that concerned me. I know my uncle had went to the doctor, his screening, and said he was, borderline high risk,
Mhm.
and he gave him a dietary plan to kind of help lower that risk.
Mhm.
Inflammation is a big concern, and it all boils back to what we put in our diet. Let's go into more about diet. When you talk about diet and eating,
Mhm.
what do you consider healthy? Because
Moderate.
I think a lot of people get, I don't like to really use the word clean and dirty,
Right.
because that can get confusing, and a lot of people don't understand. There's everybody has their own normal, and your normal may not be my normal. So we can't really compare each other and say you should do this because this is what I do.
Absolutely. Just to keep it basic, whole grains, basically just, you've got a lot of different modalities. You've got Whole30. You have, you have the 50, the 50, 30, 10, deal, or the 60, 60, 30, 10. You got a myriad of things, out there. Some people, like the vegetarian lifestyle, pescatarian lifestyle. I personally say, keep it clean, keep it moderate first. Blood typing is another way to identify what your triggers are, as far as food allergies. Now you can go test your gut health. Most of your physicians now have the ability to do that. Your general practitioners have the ability to do that. But I suggest whole grains, a lot of cruciferous vegetables, lean proteins. Keep it basic, keep it simple. As African Americans, a lot of us are lactose intolerant. So, from there, that can be something that, could cause you a lot of issues, there, off the bat. Hydration is one of the biggest keys to everything. Without proper hydration, you have nothing. You don't have a catalyst, for the minerals to get through the bloodstream. Your body's struggling. Healthy fruits, again, keep it basic, keep it simple. Fried foods. I mean, it's easy. It's, sometimes I feel like I'm, as a health and wellness professional, like over preaching to the choir, but a lot of these things are just common sense.
Right. And I will add to that too, because you're not saying you just have to completely stop fried foods.
No,
But we
okay.
should look at,
Mm-hmm.
and I think a big factor, we should look at the oils that we
Correct.
use in
Right.
when we fry.
Right.
Some oils have a heat point that's different from others that causes it to be rancid.
Exactly.
Then you have oils with good fatty acids in it that your body actually needs. People don't understand that fat is actually necessary for proper hormone
Correct.
response.
Correct.
So, and there's another misconception that, I want to be 0% body fat. I want to be below 5% all the time. That's not sustainable.
Right.
It's not sustainable to stay healthy. Without proper fat in your body, there's a drop in hormone balance,
Correct.
which also then causes issues with your immune system.
Sure.
You know,
too low of a cholesterol level is bad.
exactly.
And your conversion rate, is off, completely.
Exactly. And so we touched on the diet. What in regards to physical activity, and I want to go back to the cortisol levels too, because a lot of people, they they hear the word cortisol and they think we shouldn't have it. It's not bad, but in actuality, it's a natural response from
Correct.
the body.
Correct.
And I want to just kind of lay at rest the myth.
Mm-hmm.
Your body every day is going to release cortisol.
Correct.
It's best for it to release earlier in the day so that you can get to a better sleep pattern.
Exactly.
And I think people don't understand that, if you end up, waking up, but things like exposing yourself to natural sunlight is positive.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, not waking up directly and drinking the caffeine right away, because that actually hinders the cortisol release.
That's right.
You want to let your body naturally wake up, get the cortisol going so that it can calm down.
Absolutely.
And I think a lot of people don't understand that. When I hear a lot of people talk about cortisol, they don't understand that in your day when you wake up in the morning, there's a rhythm that your body's going through for your digestion, your hormone, your sleep wake cycle.
Absolutely.
And that cortisol is a part of that.
Correct.
You need that to happen early on in the day. Now, if you do things that hinder it, it's going to release later on. And now we get into the health issues of stress, not being able to sleep, wanting to eat more later at night when you should be allowing your body to wind down. Because when you eat, it creates insulin response. Now you're waking the body back up.
Exactly.
So I just wanted to get that nugget out there for those who don't know that. And I'm opening up the floor too as we talk. If there's any questions that anyone has in regards to health, if you want to just throw any questions out there that you want to lay at rest, any myths or misconceptions, go ahead and throw those in the Q&A also.
Let's see. I think we did have a question here. Oh, keto.
Keto with the question mark. So I see what they're trying to do there.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I was wondering.
You want to take that, Chris,
I didn't.
You want to take it?
Well, I'll let you take it. I'll add to it. Because it's one of those things where, it seems like every few years we get the trends.
Yes.
And again, it goes back to lifestyle.
Correct.
So let's hit on keto, and then we're going to go to another question in regards to habits and mental health, because I think that's really a key factor in regards to your lifestyle. So let's hit on keto, and then we'll go into in regards to mental health.
Okay, so let's touch on keto for a second. All right, so there are different forms of keto. And for those of you who've been involved in the involved or a little bit knowledgeable about health and wellness, this started off with Atkins back years ago, and your basic energy source through keto is ingested fats. So you've got everything from the usage of cheese, bacon, essential your different oils from canola, safflower oil, grapeseed oil, extra virgin olive oil, nut butters, and along with with the healthy balance of proteins and the elimination of glycogen or basic carbohydrates from the diet, your body converts over and it uses
sugar,
fats, sugar, right? And you're basically turning over your energy stores from and it comes from fat. So this transition can be rather difficult. Um,
On both ends,
again,
from getting
oh
there
yeah,
and
yeah,
recovering.
and recovery. A reversal from from a keto plan to back into what's considered normal can be, man, it can be rough. And I don't want to get too far into it, but your lifestyle has to be set up perfectly for the usage of ketos for it to be effective. There's no, hey, I'm gonna slip up and I'm gonna go eat McDonald's, one day, and you're gonna throw those ketones through the ceiling. You're just gonna
Exactly.
dump. So
Exactly.
again, there are some some physicians out there who do recommend keto for the reversal of hormones, and there's some out there who just truly don't believe in it. Again, it's one of those things you got to get in where you fit in, and I love to like take a few more questions if somebody has it, has some, with regards to keto.
Yeah,
It can
and
be as a great fat loss tool, but again,
it's about my thing is about sustainability.
correct.
You know,
That's exactly where I was going to go with.
if exactly if so, just to kind of sum it up, once you go into a ketosis state, you're basically your liver's pre-producing all these ketones. Why? Because you don't have sugar in your body. Your body's used to using carbs. Carbs is easy for the body to use for energy right away.
Correct.
And a lot of people they took that concept and say, okay, well, if I don't put carbs in my body, you're basically forcing your body into a survival mode. That's why you get the withdrawals and the funny feelings and the lightheadedness and all of that, because your body's like, you stopped giving us what we normally have for energy. You go into the keto. So when it comes to recovering from that, for the one who asked the question, when it comes to recovering from that, soon as you put carbs in your body has now developed a process to use fat. You're going to swell back up.
Right.
You're gonna swell right back up because
And fast.
you've right, run fast because you've trained your body to not use the carbs.
Right.
So if anybody's on keto right now, I'm not saying you have to stop, but I am telling you that if you decide to transition back, you have to do it gradually.
Yes.
Just as if a person who ate bad foods and a lot of sugars, a lot of fats and unnecessary things in their diet, and you making a transition gradually to go get away from it. You have to make a transition gradually to put things back into your body so that your body learns how to process it.
That's right.
Yeah. So yeah, if there are any other questions about any other diets, we will be happy to go ahead and speak on that. Our next question was about mental health and habits about mental health. So I have a friend I went to college with. He wasn't able to join us today, but he's a therapist, and I like one of his quotes was that we have to celebrate getting help or having a resource for promoting mental health just as much as we promote somebody getting a trainer for their physical health.
Absolutely.
I think, and Greg, you probably know better than anybody that part of what you do, although you're talking about how to shape somebody physically in your programs, you're constantly having to motivate mentally and help somebody train their mental state, because before you can even get to a point to say, hey, I'm going to make this change in my life, you have to have a certain mental capacity to understand that this is not just going to happen in 90 days.
Chris, I'm going to say something that literally has the look on some of my clients' faces or people that I've crossed, throughout the years, when I literally tell them, I said, listen, it's great, it's wonderful that you're working on your body, you're working on your outward appearance, but don't come here for your mental therapy. You need to work on that outside of this. This is only an additive to actually make everything else better. And I know that there are probably some people shaking their heads right now.
Yeah, because people think that if I do this, then my mental state
Yeah,
will be better, and
yeah,
it's the exact opposite.
it's the exact opposite. You fall into the trap, and it can be, health and wellness, reaching your best physical state can be the most wonderful thing in the world, and it is, and I don't want to diminish the the wonderful parts of that. But guess what? The same things that you were struggling with mentally are still there. Even though you got this six pack and you've got these tight legs, you're feeling awesome. If you don't address the mental side of things, it's still going to be there. And actually, it may exacerbate, those issues even worse.
Right. I feel it's important if you haven't gone through the root causes of why you do certain things. Why I think a lot of people deal with procrastination and
Yeah.
excuses more than they deal with laziness. Because if you can look at your habits, you look at, and anybody, you can think about yourself. I would say self-evaluate yourself.
Mhm.
There are things that you have no problem with doing at all,
Mhm.
and you'll do
Absolutely.
them. You'll work hard at it. You'll do it great. But then there are certain things you may say in the aspect of your life that you make an excuse for, or you procrastinate. You have to understand. Okay, you have to ask yourself, why am I
Right.
doing this? Why am I not moving forward here? And
Right.
and sometimes you may not can figure that out by yourself. So you may want to consult a therapist. And there's
Correct.
nothing wrong with that, especially
Oh no.
black men. I mean, black men, I mean,
Oh man.
there's we try to be strong mentally, or we try to put on a face of I have no
Strength.
issues. But the fact of the matter is, there are all kinds of factors, your
Correct.
environment where you grew up,
Right.
things that may have happened to you as a child,
Sure.
all kinds of factors with relationships that
Mm-hmm.
sometimes you get into a habit
Mm-hmm.
of. Maybe it's drinking. Why are you
Correct.
drinking? And you
Bad
shouldn't. You
eating.
say bad eating.
Right.
Why are you doing these things when you know that it is that you shouldn't be doing it, but yet you
Right.
still do it? We can't process it all by ourselves, and it's okay to actually talk to somebody who's licensed to say, okay, what do I need to do? These are things, the habits that I have that I want to get rid of.
Mm-hmm.
And I think at that point is it's more of a self-reflection at that point of, you
Sure.
know, how to overcome
Right.
habits that you started that you're trying to stop.
Right. And endorphin release is great, you know, but it's temporary, you know. And we develop these mindsets that we go around things as opposed to addressing them, head on. And again, I mean, that's not a criticism. That's a normal reaction, to quite a few things, out there. But with regards to the African American community, more specifically men, we tend to, men in general, we tend to say, okay, I can handle this. I can walk through this.
Right.
And instead of actually, addressing it head on.
Exactly. Exactly. I couldn't agree more on in regards to that. Um, we have another question here too.
Okay.
Let's see here.
Why does African American community seem to always have diabetes? And why do we have such a bad image of food? Why can't we grow up cooking healthy instead of fast food and greasy foods? Well,
Yeah, that's an interesting
that's
question.
a good question.
And and I I'll say this, and because we have to look at the overall culture, and there's a history to this too that I don't know if we have time to get
Man,
it.
we can deep dive into this one.
Right, right. Because a lot of what our foods are what we call the comfort foods
Right,
for a lot of people, are
right,
the soul food.
right.
And these are things that have been passed down because
Generations.
one, the goal was to get full,
Correct.
The goal was to save money because
Yes.
didn't have a lot,
Correct.
you know. So you pull out the flour, you pull
Mm-hmm.
out the sugars,
Mm-hmm.
you know, you pull out the Crisco oil,
Oh wow.
and and you go right at it. You can make all kinds of dishes, you
Sure.
know, from the cornbreads to the fried chicken, you know. So
With one or two products.
yeah, exactly.
You're
Just a
right.
few products, and
Right.
you know, you got yourself a whole meal, you
Correct.
know. And then we figure out how to be creative with that, you know. And we
Mm-hmm.
start making the casseroles, and
Mm-hmm.
you know, uh, I'm from the coast, so you know, a lot of dishes are mixed together. So we have, you know, the gumbos and the jambalayas and different things.
Correct.
So all these things are blended together. Why? Because of the money issue.
Sure. Sure.
And it goes back to economic
Mm-hmm.
issue, and that's
Right.
systematic. And
Right.
in
On a
regards to
lot of
trying to
levels.
on a lot of levels that, you know, we
Right.
don't have time to really discuss here,
Right.
but
Right.
I like that the point was brought up because we have to bring awareness to this.
Yes.
You know, once you learn that what you've been doing is not good,
Right.
you have to then again make that conscious choice to say, I need to do better. You know, I if your family did it, but you know that now that is unhealthy,
Right.
you have to then make a change for the next
Mm-hmm.
generations. And that's what
Correct.
it's really about. That's why we have this community, because we're trying to bring awareness to certain issues so that we
Right.
can now bring enlightenment to the next generation, so that they can say, okay, I need to go get my screenings. I
Mm-hmm.
need to go join up to these clinical trials because this is going to help my community
Right.
for what is put out later in the future. You know, the new
Right.
medications that are going to be put out, the new way we treat
Sure.
people. You know, it's all about learning the information now and then making the change for the next generation.
Mm-hmm.
So I appreciate the question. Like I said, there's a lot that can be said in regards to that.
Right.
Um, see here. Um, was there any other questions regarding diet or creating habits?
No, I
Um,
think all we had. I believe that was the last question.
okay. Let's see here. Well, um, how can wives help husbands prioritize pre-screenings?
Well, to be honest with you, I that this can go a lot of different ways, but for one thing, I believe it's a blessing to have someone that's concerned about your health. And a lot of men, a lot of times we view that as being, sorry to say this, nagged or being pushed and again, if you're an African American man, if you're a man and you have a woman in your life or a partner that's, hey, like, you need to go screen, please take care of yourself. There's more than you to think, to think about. You are a blessed man. And ladies, don't stop. You know, he'll be fine. If he gets a little irritated, he'll be just fine. But the things that you could do are just placing the facts in front of them.
Yeah.
One interesting topic that came up with me recently was the amount of undiscovered skin cancer in the African American community, especially here in the South, where it's normal for us to walk around, exposed. Our arms are exposed. Sometimes in tank tops. Ladies are wearing dresses. If we're out, in the summer, but because we have melanin, we oftentimes we discount the need for sunblock. And that was one thing that I encountered recently in a screening. And healthy habits, check for diabetes, prostate exams. It's even low testosterone. Low testosterone is extremely unhealthy, for men. That's actually one of the leading catalysts to heart attack, high blood pressure, strokes.
Exactly. And I 100% agree in regards to that, in regards to having somebody. So if you are, it's really presenting the facts. I would say one, if they having trouble with the screenings, at least get blood work done.
Absolutely.
Because then you understand what are some underlying risks that you may not have been aware of, and that may help promote the possibility to get a screening.
Healthy dialogue.
Yeah, right. If you go get a blood screening and you see that your HbA1c, your sugar levels are high, could be pre-diabetic, are showing diabetic, you may need to go to your doctor and look into that further. After getting the blood work, you may, at that point, you now know that I need to, if you've been telling your husband, hey, you need to stop eating this, you need to stop doing this. Well, the blood work does not lie.
No. It'll tell.
Yeah. So I think one important is blood work is very important.
There was one thing that comes to mind, as far as screening, sleep apnea. Sleep apnea is a huge one, now, in the community. It's a huge catalyst to high blood pressure, which high blood pressure could lead to renal failure.
Right. And I was saying, Tiffany's response, to even have full coverage insurance and then no time to even go to the doctor.
Mm-hmm.
It's very important to prioritize, and priorities is,
yes.
Again, it goes back to the excuses. If you can't be afraid of what you might find out. We know that knowledge is power.
Right.
If you have the knowledge, it's not saying that you can't recover from where you are. It's now giving you an opportunity to sit down and say, this is what I now need to do, make the steps moving forward on those healthy habits that we talked about earlier. Whether it is a bad sleep pattern, whether it is, certain things in your diet that you just need to change or gradually remove. And again, I'm telling people, when I say the word diet, it's not you just make a complete change if you can't do that, but it's like you have to make the steps somewhere. You have to climb somewhere. And, a lot of people think they have to make a giant leap, but it's much easier, to make a small step and keep making small steps, and you'll get to your destination a lot faster making the small steps as opposed to trying to make giant leaps.
Sure. And I mean, nowadays I it's beyond me to think that there may be an employer that would give an employee a difficult time about, going to the doctor. Sometimes you just got to say, hey man, I've got to prioritize my health, and take that time. You're working 40-hour work weeks, sometimes 40-hour plus work weeks. You got these benefits, take advantage.
Exactly. And somebody said on the topic of African Americans not wearing sunscreen, I'm sorry, just because you got a little bit more melanin in your skin does not mean that you can deny yourself proper SPF protection when you're out in the sun.
If I believe, if I remember the numbers correctly,
that is a myth.
It's doubled actually. It's doubled. I believe since the 80s. The amount of African Americans that are, being affected by skin cancer. So it's we've got some real issues, within the community, and and we, earlier in the conversation, Chris, we talked about the socioeconomic, impact, of things, and so I'm grateful for communities like this to bring it to to the forefront, to allow, an opportunity for us to educate.
Right. And that's what it's really all about. That's why, continue to encourage those, if you have people who just need to get more information or just be aware,
Right.
this is what the community is for.
Right.
There are so many other topics in regards to just overall culture.
Right.
And I think how we prioritize
Mm-hmm.
what we do on a daily basis,
Mm-hmm.
starting with our mental health.
Yeah. I mean, this is what, the second time that we come back to the mental health
Right.
aspect,
Right. Because I mean, I was just looking at, there's the National Alliance of Mental Illness says, 1 in 5 adults experience mental illness each year.
Absolutely.
Of that, statistically, only about 25% of Black Americans actually seek mental health care. Only 25%.
Sure.
We have to change that compared to because our white counterparts is 40%.
Mm-hmm.
So
yep.
it's a problem and it's out there.
Right.
And we all know that, like you said earlier, stress causes so many other, autoimmune diseases.
That's right.
The cancers, the tumors, all these things can result back from just stress.
That's right.
When you stress, your hormones are all off balance.
Mm-hmm.
Your daily functions cannot operate like they should in regards to your digestion,
That's right.
just your overall energy levels, even your mental capacity just to think throughout the day.
Sure. Blood sugar's up and down, everything.
Exactly, just from stress.
Mm-hmm.
So I can't push that enough for people to really self-evaluate some of their daily choices. And if you need to talk to a therapist, I would say seek the counseling, and get the information you need so you can get to the root cause.
Mm-hmm.
Because stress is such a I would say it's one of those stigmas where we don't want to talk about it because we feel like, well, life is life. We got problems. Everybody, I don't need to talk to anybody about it. That's not true.
No.
You talk to somebody about it so you can discover the next steps to do better.
Sure.
You better, and to have a longer life, longevity,
Right.
because at the end of the day, we want to be here for our families.
Sure. Right. And we need to teach our children these healthy habits, understanding that it's okay, to express yourself, talk to your mom and dad, talk to a friend, anybody, that you trust.
Right. And so I think we've answered all the questions, and I don't think we have anything else. Greg, it was great having you on again for
I
this part
appreciate you, man.
2 of this session. Yeah, I'm looking
I got to
forward
come.
to.
Right?
Hey, roll tide.
Oh man, you really gonna put that?
Yeah, I had to go ahead and just throw it out there. Looking forward to the next conversations. Again, everybody, we thank you for joining. Thank you for the questions and chiming in. I'm pretty sure this will be available in the community. So again, if you know anybody who needs to join and hear this conversation, and they have more questions, they can comment on the video too. And Greg and I'll be more than happy to chime in and provide more feedback. So again, I want to thank everybody, and you have a good evening.
All right, guys. Have a good night.
All right, thank you, Greg.
Take care. All right, good night.